Thank you, Deprived Cloward, and I'm pleased to open this debate in the name of my Welsh Conservative colleague, Paul Davies. We have to be honest about the reality facing far too many people in Wales today. Too many people are living in homes that simply don't suit their needs anymore. And they stay in these homes not because they want to, but because moving has become too difficult, too expensive, and frankly too daunting. There's a real psychological barrier here. People look at the cost of moving and decide it's not worth it. Property taxes, like the land transaction tax, push up the upfront costs of moving home, and this actively discourages people from making changes that they would otherwise make. When it costs thousands and even tens of thousands of pounds just to move, people stay put. Older people remain in large family homes long after their children have moved out, which costs disproportionately more to heat and maintain. Families who need more space can't find it, and people won't even relocate for work, even when the opportunity is there. The result is a housing system that is clogged up, homes in the wrong hands, in the wrong places, and at the wrong time. Evidence shows that if you remove these barriers, things start to move again. Literally. Research looking at the equivalent tax in England suggests a scrapping property transaction tax could increase home owner mobility by more than 50%. That means tens of thousands more homes coming onto the market every year. It unlocks properties that are currently stuck, boosts resale activity, and encourages new homes to be built as well. A housing market that moves more freely also helps people move to where the jobs are, improving productivity and the opportunity across the economy. Let me just carry on a little bit and then I'll bring it in. Deprived Cloward. I and my party believe that this matters for growth. Transaction taxes act like sand in the gears of a housing system. They discourage turnover and trap people in homes that no longer work for them. Remove that friction and you free up supply. Developers have more confidence to build, people are more willing to move, and the wider economy benefits. Research on stamp duty in England suggests that abolishing it could boost economic activity up to £20 billion a year through construction, consumer spending, and labour mobility. The numbers may differ here in Wales, but the basic mechanics are exactly the same. From a pure economics point of view, these taxes are also widely seen as inefficient. They create what economists call deadweight loss. In other words, economic damage that's bigger than the revenue that they raise, because they stop sensible, mutually beneficial transactions from happening. Compared with taxes on income or spending, property transaction taxes are among some of the most damaging to economic efficiency. There's also a fairness issue. Land transaction tax has to be paid up front. That means buyers need a lot more cash on the day they complete. For first-time buyers and younger households without big savings, that's a huge barrier. It can trap people in homes, neighbourhoods, and even jobs that no longer fit their lives. We have to be realistic. Abolishing land transaction tax wouldn't fix every affordability problem, but it would remove one of the biggest cash flow hurdles people face when trying to move. And beyond the economics, the system itself breeds resentment and confusion. People don't just dislike paying the tax, they often struggle to understand it. Even high-profile politicians have fallen foul to these rules. The former Labour Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner, for example, was found to have underpaid stamp duty by a whopping £40,000, which just goes to show how complex and unforgiving the system truly is. Land transaction tax relies on self-assessment, multiple reliefs and intricate rules that are easy to get wrong and costly to challenge. Scrapping it would simplify the tax system, reduce disputes and administrative costs, and make buying and selling a home far more transparent and predictable for ordinary people. Lower transaction costs would also bring wider social benefits. They make it easier for people to relocate for work, supporting a more flexible labour market. They make it easier for older homeowners to downsize, freeing up larger homes for families and make a better use of the housing stock we already have. We also know from research, much of it highlighted during the stamp duty holiday, that moving home doesn't just shift bricks and mortar. Moving triggers higher spending as well. People renovate, they fit new kitchens and bathrooms, they buy furniture, carpets, appliances. Studies show that movers are far more likely to spend on home improvements and household goods, both before and after a move. Spending peaks shortly after moving and stays higher for around a year. That's real economic activity flowing through local businesses and supply chains. Yeah. Of course, critics raise concerns, and they deserve to be taken seriously. One common argument is that scrapping a transaction tax just pushes prices up. It does. There's some truth in the idea that prices respond in the short term, but the evidence from stamp duty holidays shows that while prices may rise, transactions rise sharply too. More people move, more homes change hands. And the truth is, over the long term, house prices are driven far more by supply, planning, and borrowing costs than by transaction taxes alone. Removing transaction tax lowers a barrier. It doesn't pretend to solve the housing shortage on its own. Others worry about the loss of public revenue. Land transaction tax does raise money for public services, but only looking at the headline loss misses the bigger picture. More transactions mean more construction, more jobs, more spending, and more tax revenue from income tax, VAT, corporation tax, and capital gains. Those dynamic effects, I believe, would more than compensate for the revenue brought in by land transaction tax. The socialists here will no doubt raise concern that the winners will only be wealthier households, as we heard our First Minister try to do so yesterday. But that is simply not true. A more fluid housing market benefits everyone. Increased turnover releases homes at all price points. Easier downsizing frees up family homes. Evidence from stamp duty holidays shows increased activity, not just at the top end, but across the middle and lower parts of the market too. Scrapping LTT won't magically make housing affordable overnight, and no serious reform claims that it will. But it does make the system work better. It helps people move when they need to. It improves how we use the homes we already have, and it supports growth, while longer-term supply reforms take effect. So when you put it all together, the picture is clear. Land transaction tax just doesn't just raise revenue, it shapes behavior. And right now, it's encouraging people to stay where they are. Removing it would help create a housing market that works better for the people of Wales at every stage and help create an economy that's more dynamic, more productive, and fairer as a result. And that's why I urge everyone here to support our motion. Thank you. Yeah.